Hi, Dave Chaplin from IR35 Shield, and I'm here with Crawford Temple from Professional Passport. This is the first video in a series of video discussions we're having, talking about a number of issues and topics around umbrella companies, and we're calling this the Compliance Files. Now, in our first discussion today, we're going to keep it very simple, and I'm going to ask you a very simple question. What is an umbrella company, Crawford?
Well, that may appear a simple question. There is no legal definition for an umbrella, and you'll find all sorts of companies just put labels on it. My definition of an umbrella company, and I think one that would be recognised by people like the Revenue and such like, would be an organisation that employs the workers on an employment contract and applies PAYE to all of the earnings paid to those workers. In the
same way as an employee gets paid and so on. Just treats their income as employment income.
Yeah. Now, what you'll find under the umbrella badge is some people, and I know we're going to do another session on this later, some people will not pay all of the income as employment income and have I got a good idea for you scheme, which we cover on later on a different video.
Yeah.
But they will still put the tag umbrella over it. So just because it says it's an umbrella, don't necessarily accept that it is an umbrella, and your test should be, am I getting employment income that's fully taxed?
So the contractor might be invited to use an umbrella company via the agency, or they might be they might be given choices, I guess. They could go on agency payroll, or they might say, oh, you can choose an umbrella company. Why would a contractor, or what sort of things should they be thinking about as to whether they choose an agency payroll or choose to go via an umbrella company?
Okay, so for most contractors, what they're seeking to do is maximise what they can take home from the assignment. So if you're offered agency payroll and you're offered umbrella, what you can do is all the responsible umbrella providers, if you provide them the agency payroll rate, which will be a lower rate than the rate you're offered for and we cover this in a different session. But they will do a comparison for you, and it will show you what you will take home if you went into agency payroll and what you will take home if you went into umbrella. Now, what's often done is the agencies actually want people to go into umbrella because then they haven't got to run a whole payroll department, and so they will increase that rate to make sure that you return slightly more, and it might only be 10, 50p more, but they'll increase it so you're returning slightly more take-home pay through the umbrella company to almost incentivise you to make the decision. And the responsible provider, if it looks like you take more PAYE, then they'll say to you, go back to the agency and go on their payroll.
I mean, we are talking about probably small amounts of money here when we think about the difference between agency payroll and an umbrella running it. At the end of the day, I mean, the agency will have to pass more money to the umbrella to cover the employment costs and extra taxes and things. But the bottom line is possibly not that much different.
No, it's worked out so it comes out there or thereabouts.
Just because the agency doesn't want the hassle of having to run all the payroll.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, how many agencies are there? About 20,000?
I think it's more than that.
Is it? I mean, there's just tens of thousands. I think it said 20,000 in the impact statement for off payroll.
All right.
Not that we're going to talk at all about off payroll in these files, but the vast majority of those are small.
Yeah.
And they could be 2-3-man businesses, and they don't want to run their own internal payroll.
No, they don't see themselves as experts in that side of it. And, running the payroll is not just running a payroll, it's the whole HR and stuff that goes alongside it. There's a massive amount of work that goes alongside it to get the worker on and everything else. And there are a lot of recruitment companies recognise they can go out and find people and fill work positions, but they don't want to step into that. And so where you've got an umbrella, then that's all they do. And so just hand it over and it's dealt with. And the other thing from a contractor's perspective because it's all that the umbrella does,
Yeah.
they tend to have processes that will be relatively simple and straightforward for the contractor to follow to be engaged by the umbrella. So it can seem a bit wieldy, what's this umbrella? It's all a bit strange to me, but their processes and communication, because it's a well-trodden path, there's lots
it's
of
fairly
new people.
standardised, isn't it?
They're going to be communicating with you. They understand all the fears and questions that you have, and a lot of that will just automatically be dealt with through the joining process.
So
it should be painless.
I mean, the whole sort of payroll industry really is a payroll industry or umbrella industry. It's a volume game, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there are economies of scale when companies can deal with thousands of contractors.
Absolutely.
So if an agency, I don't know, maybe only has 25 or 50 contractors on its books, it would be expensive for them to run their own payroll, and that would be reflected possibly in how much margins they might need to take, and they wouldn't be as competitive. So
Correct,
it makes them more competitive if they use umbrellas.
There's a lot of agencies that will have seasonal peaks and troughs depending on the markets they're in. So you may have a trough during the summer holidays, a peak at Christmas holidays, or whatever market they're in. But of course, if you're running your own payroll department, you've got this fixed cost in your business.
That's true.
All the time.
And
regardless of whether it's a peak and a trough. And so by outsourcing it through and using an umbrella company, the umbrella company, because of the volumes they deal with, the peaks and troughs don't really impact them.
No, that's true. That's true. What are the other benefits of a contractor using an umbrella company? I think we might have touched on this in one other video when we were talking about sort of moving around with it and the PSLs and ASLs.
So one of the benefits of, if you go on an agency payroll, when you get your next assignment, if it's not with the same agency, clearly you're moving, and you'll have to move off of that agency payroll somewhere else. One of the benefits of an umbrella company is that you will join an umbrella company, and the idea is that if you've got a good relationship with that umbrella company, don't leave them, because you've accumulated your rights through the employment that you have, the same as any other employee. And then on top of that, you've got pension auto-enrolment, and you're in the pension auto-enrolment. So you've gained all your rights, you've got the benefits coming through as you would as an employee. If you like them and like the way they're doing it, then try and stay with them. And what agencies will have is they'll have a thing called the approved supplier list.
Okay.
So if your umbrella has a recognised accreditation, compliance accreditation, most recruitment companies will allow you to continue that relationship with that umbrella company, and not force you to change.
And what are these rights that they're accruing over time, staying with the same umbrella company?
Well,
I guess they're like an employer, so...
Exactly right. So you are an employee, and so you're in exactly the same position, and so you're accumulating all the same rights that you would as if you're a full-time employee. And then you've got things, so if you want to buy a house... you've now been employed by an umbrella for 2 years. You've got the pay slips. You've got that.
Yeah, it looks more secure.
You've got that consistency and that track record. And from the outside world's perspective, you are an employee. And so it makes a lot of things simpler in life. If you keep changing umbrellas, then sort of some of those benefits get undermined.
And we saw some of that happening, didn't we, I think, around 2017 when they were rolling out of payroll into the public sector. There were some agencies saying, no, you must only use one of these 4 on that kind of thing. But that's all stopped now, hasn't it?
No, there's still a bit of that about. We try and counsel agencies to... PSL is a preferred supplier list. So if you haven't got an existing relationship and you're new to contracting, the agency may only give you 4 or 5 that you can select from.
It doesn't want to give you like 50 to select from. It might like 50, but it just wants to say these are the ones.
Go to these ones, and usually there'll be slight variances between them in how they operate. And actually, all you're doing is you're picking the one that you feel comfortable with or has come across well. Yeah. Once you've built that relationship and you're in it, that's where when you move to the next agency, they'll look at the approved supplier list, and that's a much bigger list that says if we get a worker coming to us who's with any of these companies, we'll let them continue. Now, in some cases, some agencies don't have an approved supplier list, and will say you've only got to use these companies. If that's the case, then you should talk to them, particularly if they've got a recognised accreditation.
Absolutely.
Because there wouldn't really be a reason not to accept them.
No, I mean, and can an agency say, you must work through an umbrella company, and does the contractor, are they obliged to work through one?
If the agency is saying that this is an uplifted rate and you need to work through an umbrella company, then yeah, because they can decide who they're going to award the contract to. So that's this is the way we work, take it or leave it type thing. Yeah. If the contractor wants to work through a different umbrella, there is no obligation on the agency to sign a contract with that umbrella. And part of the reason behind that is they can hold significant liabilities and risk if they're not comfortable with what the umbrella's doing. So that's why they limit who the umbrella companies that they will issue.
So it would be, I guess, when we talk about this in another discussion, with your phrase, have I got a good idea for you? Because there are umbrella companies out there that, you and I probably wouldn't even call them umbrella companies. They're just scams, aren't they, really? And some of them are just downright fraud and tax evasion. But people get attracted to them. People don't realise that actually what they're getting themselves into isn't compliance. Yeah. And they might go to an agency and say, please, can I operate via Have I Got a Good Idea for You Limited? And the agency will say, absolutely not.
Absolutely. And there's
good reason for that.
Yeah, and quite often the most vociferous contractors about using a particular provider is because it's a Have I Got a Good Idea for You, and they think this is great, I'm taking home all this extra money without realising that won't work, because all of umbrellas have got the same tax rules. So there shouldn't be very much difference between them. If there is, big red lights should be flashing.
Yeah, I think there's... there are some websites out there, I think, that compare how much you get paid via an umbrella, and when you run it through those calculations, the difference is pence, isn't it? It's pence, because someone might be earning, let's say, £1,000 a week, £4,000 a month, and the charges for umbrellas are anything from £10 a week to, I don't know, what,
30,
25, £30 a week, and over the course of like £4,000, we are talking pence, really, aren't we, in terms of take-home pay? Yeah. So if there's anything that's a big outlier,
that umbrella
that's
charge is taken out of gross before you've got any of the tax applied. So the tax difference on take-home is generally pence between the umbrellas.
Yeah. What are the other differentiators in the market for umbrella companies? Why would one contractor perhaps use one and not another? What types of things do we see?
You've got different contract styles, which came out, and I think we're doing a session on this on the coronavirus thing. So have a look at that session, and it'll explain the different contractual arrangements. And all you're doing is looking for one that matches your style of working. You may well have expenses that you can claim or be reimbursed from the recruitment company. So make sure when you're selecting the umbrella, you're selecting one that has the ability to do that. And most of them, the responsible ones, will ask you as part of the process, have you got any expenses, or are you anticipating any expenses? Are you anticipating reclaiming any expenses?
Doing pensions might be another one.
Yeah, no, you've got with higher end contractors now, with the off payroll rules. There's a lot of guys who are working through their own limited companies that were making employer contributions into pension schemes. A real benefit. There's a few umbrella companies now that will allow that to happen, which benefits the worker a lot, because it's taking the money out before all the taxes are applied. So that's very worthwhile. So you've got to understand what you're looking for in terms of your own financial arrangements. And then you will find an umbrella that aligns to those.
So I guess the message there for a contractor is, and also for the agencies, there needs to be variation in what they can offer or have on their PSL, because it's a case of there's no one size fits all, really.
Correct. One size fits one. But if the contractor understands the key bits they're looking for from their umbrella, if they're sophisticated and they want pensions and all the rest of it, then when they talk to an umbrella, that could be one of the first questions they ask the umbrella. Are you able to make pension contributions? And if the umbrella says, oh no, we don't do that, we just do auto enrolment, then that's not the one for you. Move on to the next one.
Absolutely. Or it might be that they're in a position where they don't have expenses, they don't have pensions, and so on and so on, and they can probably go with a very vanilla version that's much cheaper, perhaps.
Absolutely right. So what if you've got no
nothing
sophistication or anything else? Just look at one that you've had a conversation with, you feel comfortable with, and they're the lowest charging one.
Absolutely.
Because there's no point in paying a high charge if you're not using any of the additional bits.
That's great. Okay, that was us talking about explaining the basics of around what an umbrella company is. And that was the compliance files. If you have any comments about this particular one or any questions, then please put them below the video and we will try to answer those in a future discussion.